Let's talk about one of the most stunning, most shocking military disasters in all of history. We're going deep on the Battle of Teutoburg Forest. This was so much more than just a defeat for Rome. It was a devastating ambush that slammed the brakes on its expansion for good and literally changed the map of Europe forever. It's an incredible story of betrayal, brilliant strategy, and just catastrophic failure.
To really get a feel for just how big this was, let's start with the immediate aftermath. This wasn't just a bad day at the office for the Roman Empire. This was an absolute nightmare, a catastrophe that completely shattered the idea that its legions were invincible.
So, what's with the number 3? Well, this represents the number of entire Roman legions, the 17th, 18th, and 19th, that were completely wiped off the map. They weren't just defeated, they were erased. Rome never used those legion numbers again. That's how deep the scar was.
And the human cost? It's just staggering. We're talking an estimated 20,000 people. Roman soldiers, sure, but also all the non-combatants that traveled with them. We're talking families, merchants, you name it. All of them, gone. Over 3 horrific days in a dark German forest.
This right here, wow. This famous cry from Emperor Augustus himself just says it all. The story goes that he was so absolutely devastated, he didn't cut his hair or shave for months. He'd just wander the palace, smashing his head against doors, screaming for his general Varus to give him back his men. I mean, think about that. This was a deep, personal wound for the most powerful man on the planet.
So how does something this catastrophic even happen? Well, at the heart of it all, it's a story of 2 very different commanders. You've got a by-the-books Roman governor and a brilliant Germanic prince who knew exactly how to play the game.
And this just lays it all out, doesn't it? On one side, you have Publius Quinctilius Varus. He's an administrator, a politician, great at running provinces that were already pacified, but he looked at Germania like it was just another spreadsheet, a place to tax and bring into the fold. He had no idea what was brewing under the surface. And then you have Arminius. He was a Germanic prince, yeah, but he was raised in Rome. He was a Roman citizen, a Roman knight. He'd fought in the Roman army. He knew their tactics, their mindset, their weaknesses, and he did all this while pretending to be Varus's best friend and most trusted local advisor.
So, how did Arminius, the ultimate insider, manage to set up this perfect ambush? It all started with a brilliant piece of deception that played right into Varus's own arrogance. And here's the part that just makes you shake your head. Varus was warned. A loyal Germanic chieftain, who was actually Arminius' own father-in-law, came to Varus and laid it all out. He basically said, "This guy is a traitor, arrest him now." But Varus? He just blew it off. He thought it was some petty family drama. He trusted his friend Arminius instead. A fatal, fatal mistake.
Arminius' plan was just a masterclass in manipulation. First, he fakes a small rebellion off in the distance. This gives Varus a reason to move his troops. Then, he says, hey, I know a shortcut. We can cut through the Teutoburg Forest and deal with this quickly, a route the Romans had never taken before. And just like that, he lures the entire Roman force into terrain that he had hand-picked as a kill zone.
Now you have to picture what this Roman column looked like. It wasn't some lean, mean fighting machine. No way. It was this massive, slow-moving snake, maybe 15 kilometers long, bogged down with supplies, wagons, families, the whole shebang. And then, as if on cue, the weather turns. Torrential autumn rains start pouring down, turning the whole forest floor into a swamp. They were sitting ducks.
Okay, so the trap is set. The Romans are stuck. Now let's get to the ambush itself and see how this perfectly laid plan unfolded over 3 days of absolute horror, taking apart one of the greatest armies in the world piece by piece. Day 1, bam, total surprise. Germanic warriors who had been hiding behind pre-built walls just unleash hell on the stretched-out column. All those classic Roman tactics, totally useless. They can't form lines, the cavalry is slipping in the mud, the artillery is stuck. Day 2 is just a desperate, brutal struggle. The Romans are exhausted, trying to fight their way out, but they're being hit from all sides with constant guerrilla attacks. And by day 3, it's over. Total collapse. Varus, seeing that all is lost, kills himself. The rest of his men are hunted down, and in the ultimate humiliation, the Germans capture the sacred eagle standards of all 3 legions.
So you see, this wasn't just one thing going wrong. It was a perfect storm of failure. The forests and the rain completely neutralized every Roman advantage. The Germanic tactics were perfectly designed for that environment.
And it all came down to Varus's terrible leadership clashing with the absolute strategic genius of Arminius. The ripples from this battle were just massive. I mean, this was about so much more than 3 lost legions. This was about drawing a new, permanent line in the sand, a line that would define Europe for hundreds and hundreds of years. So what was the prize that was lost? It was something called Germania Magna. That was the Roman name for the huge territory east of the Rhine River. Rome had been pushing for decades to conquer it, to make it another Roman province. After Teutoburg, that whole ambition was just gone. Abandoned.
And this is the single biggest takeaway right here. The dream was dead. Yeah, Rome sent some armies back later on to get revenge and recover those lost eagle standards, to save face. But they never again made a serious, large-scale attempt to conquer Germany.
The legacy of this new border is just profound. For the next 400 years, the Rhine River was basically the edge of the Roman world. And this created the fundamental split we can still see on the map today. To the west of the river, you got cultures that were Romanized, speaking languages that come from Latin, like French and Spanish. To the east, it all stayed Germanic. This one battle really did lay the foundations for the cultural and language map of modern Europe. Pretty wild.
So, I'll leave you with this to chew on. What if? What if Varus had listened to that warning? What if the legions had somehow smashed the ambush and gone on to conquer Germany? Imagine a Romanized Germany. It would have completely changed everything. The languages we speak, the borders of countries, our entire world could look profoundly different. It's a powerful reminder that sometimes all of history can turn on what happens over just a few days in a dark, muddy forest.